You may not have heard of well, you may have heard of it, but you may not know exactly when and where it was. The first battle of Bull Run was fought on July 21st, 1861 in Prince William County, Virginia. It's kind of interesting when you go back to the Washington, D.C. area, and you realize that so much of the battles in history took place in really a very small area of the, along the eastern coast there, the eastern seaboard. Just months after the start of the war at Fort Sumter, the Northern public clamored for a march against the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, which they expected to bring an early end to the rebellion. Yielding to political pressure, Brigadier General McDowell led his unseasoned Union Army across Bull Run against the equally inexperienced Confederate Army of Brigadier General P.G.T. Beauregard. McDowell's ambitious plan for a surprise flank attack on the Confederate was poorly executed by his officers and men. Nevertheless, the Confederates, who had been planning to attack the Union left flank, found themselves at an initial disadvantage. Confederate reinforcements under Brigadier General Joseph Johnston arrived from Shenandoah Valley by railroad, and the course of the battle quickly changed. A brigade of Virginians, under a relatively unknown colonel from the Virginia Military Institute, Colonel Thomas J. Jackson, stood their ground, and Jackson received his famous nickname, Stonewall Jackson. The Confederates then launched a strong counterattack, and as the Union troops began withdrawing under fire, many panicked, and it turned into a rout as McDowell's men frantically ran without order in the direction of Washington, D.C. Most people are running away from Washington, D.C. right now, but in this case they were running towards it. Both armies were sobered by the fierce fighting and many casualties, and realized the war was going to be much longer and much bloodier than anticipated. So that brings us to a week before the Battle of Bull Run. Major Sullivan Ballou, in the 2nd Rhode Island Volunteers, wrote home to his wife in Smithfield. July 14, 1861, Camp Clark, Washington, D.C. Dear Sarah, the indications are very strong that we shall move in a few days, perhaps tomorrow. And lest I should not be able to write you again, I feel impelled to write a few lines that may fall under your eye when I am no more. I have no misgivings about or lack of confidence in the cause in which I am engaged, and my courage does not halt or falter. I know how American civilization now leans upon the triumph of the government, and how great a debt we owe to those who went before us through the blood and suffering of the Revolution. I am willing, perfectly willing, to lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt. Sarah, my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence can break. And yet my love of country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me irresistibly with all those chains to the battlefield. The memory of all the blissful moments I have enjoyed with you come crowding over me, and I feel most deeply grateful to God and you that I have enjoyed them for so long, and how hard it is for me to give them up and burn to ashes the hopes and future years when, God willing, we might still have lived and loved together and see our boys grown up to honorable manhood around us. If I do not return, my dear Sarah, never forget how much I love you, nor that when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. Forgive my many faults and many pains I have caused you. How thoughtless, how foolish I have sometimes been. But, oh Sarah, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they love, I shall always be with you in the brightest day and the darkest night. Always. Always. And when the soft breeze fans your cheek, it shall be my breath, or the cool air in your throbbing temple. It shall be my spirit passing by. Sarah, do not mourn me dead.